Okay, so today I want to talk about a subject that's come up multiple times in the comments that people have asked about, and this could probably be the shortest video I ever did, but I'm going to purposefully add some things here. One of those common things that I get, though, are from people who will ask about how to date a trans person. Well, the simple answer, and where we could really end this video, would be to say the same way you would anyone else. But I want to talk a little bit more about it and go into detail. So let's look at this. First of all, if your attraction is all about trans women, that you want to date a trans woman and that's it, then that alone kind of concerns me, because you're not recognizing that women of all shapes and forms, we're all different. There is not some automatic that you will be attracted to a woman because she happens to be a trans woman, because trans women look differently, think differently. You know, none of us are the same, just as with any cisgender woman or any other, type of woman. We all have different viewpoints. Some of us are very into makeup and fashion, and some are tomboys who would rather be shot than have to take the time to deal with all the makeup and the hair, and some are interested in science, and some are interested in literature, some are highly political, some are not interested in politics at all. There is no one thing. We're not a monolith. We all have different viewpoints. The best way to, quote, date a trans woman is to simply treat us like anyone else. But if what you're looking for is just a trans woman, you need to ask yourself, is this really a relationship that you're looking for, or are you just playing to a fetish that you have? Trans women get, fetishized, I'm bad with that word, very often, and without us being seen for being fully, three-dimensional individuals. We're not just, the human version of a sex doll. We are humans with different emotions, different interests, different likes. With my husband, the thing that attracted me to him the most was that being trans, my identity was a minor issue for him. It was not the focus. It was not what he wanted to talk to me about. When we started talking, he wanted to know about my interests. We talked about my photography that I was interested in. We talked about my life, the time frame that I spent taking care of my grandmother who passed from cancer, and I cared for her during that time frame. We talked about his life and what he was dealing with. Being trans was not the be-all, end-all, because it is not the overwhelming aspect of who I am, and I think that's true for a lot of people. Now, I will admit, in the early days of your transition, being trans takes up a lot of real estate in your life. It's very, very pivotal. And even now, being trans is an important aspect of who I am, but it's not the major aspect of who I am. I talk about it for you guys on this camera, but it's not something that is very often talked about or really even thought about in my day-to-day life. There's so much more to me. I'm a writer. I'm very political and interested in politics and social justice and environmental concerns and civil rights issues. These are things that are important to me, but being trans may have some, impact on my life, and it definitely does, but it's not the most important thing about me. And you're going to find that that's probably the case with most women, most trans women, most women in general. You can't simply take one single part and that be the overwhelming aspect of who we are. Now, I'm not talking to those of you out there who may be watching and going, well, I would never date a trans woman. And I know I've seen the videos about, is it transphobic to not date trans people and blah, 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 blah. And I honestly don't care. Is it transphobic that you won't date someone simply because they're trans? Yeah, probably, but I really don't give a shit. If you feel that way, I would much rather you not date my trans brothers and sisters, because it's very likely that if you did try, you're not going to appreciate them for who they are. You're probably not going to bring the right things to the table. So I'm not here trying to convince you that you should be willing to date a trans person. I honestly don't give a shit. Don't date us, that's fine. We could care less. There are people out there who will. But there is a very different perspective if you are interested in how you approach it. I talked to other people before my husband and I were married. I talked to different types of people. I talked to men who their only interest seemed to be the fact that I was trans, and it was like this forbidden fruit that they were interested in trying, and that is not a turn on for me, I can tell you that, and I don't think it is for most people. We want to be seen as more than just that. Also talked to people on the other side of the spectrum who maybe did not read my profile and had messaged me and then found out that I was trans. And for them it was like, well, I don't really like that, but I'm willing to try to look past it. I don't want either of those extremes. I don't want someone, and I think this may be true for a lot of trans women and a lot of trans people in general, I don't want someone who is willing to look past my transness, and I don't want someone who, when they look at me, all they see is my transness. If all you're attracted to is someone being trans, then you have a fetish. And if you have to look past someone being trans, then you're transphobic. I'd rather someone who it's just not that much of an issue, that, my husband, we can talk about it. We talk about things with, when I have medical appointments that I have to go to and how things are with my transition. We talk about possibilities, of future surgeries and what's going to happen there. But that's because we're in a committed relationship. We are partners in this life and we discuss it. But it's not the be-all, end-all. It's not the focus. There are a lot of other things we talk about. We sit down, we regularly talk about politics. We sit down, we talk about whatever video game he's playing. We talk about crazy viral videos and cute videos of animals, because yes, if you were ever on my Facebook page, you would see that I post a lot of stuff about animals. I post a lot of animal videos, from dolphins to birds to you name it. But there's a lot of things that make us who we are. Being trans is far from being the be-all, end-all of it. It colors my perception. It is part of my life, but it's not all of my life. And I think that's an important thing to know when you're dating a trans person. And if you're interested in doing that, the simplest advice, as I've said 8 million times in this video already, is, how do I date a trans person? The same way you would anybody else. Treat us with respect and, appreciate us for who we are. The whole part of who we are, not one aspect. And that's pretty much it. So outside of that, I'm going to leave off with my quote from Kesha. Don't let the bastards get you down. Don't let our current situations, everything that may be going on, get to you. We're going to move past it. If you're in the dating pool, since this was a video about dating, and you're a trans person, you're going to run into all those types of people. You're going to run into the types of people who are, not comfortable with your transness, and people who that's all they're interested in. A little hope. I was starting to lose hope myself at one point, and then I met my husband, and it changed my perspective, because for him, he loved me not for this aspect or that aspect. He loved me for the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And let me assure you, there are plenty of all of those things in there. Just the hope for you that those people are out there. There's someone who will appreciate you for who you are. In the meantime, don't settle for people who just want to make you a fetish or are just willing to look past who you are. Hold out for someone who will appreciate you for the full, complete picture, the complete person that you are. Hopefully you'll come back for another video. We'll have another one soon. Thanks guys, and have a great day.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope that you found this information to be informative and helpful. If you would like to provide any feedback that will help us to improve it in the future, we would love to hear from you. Till then, take care and be proud to be a transgender.